Okay, I'm a dot. Made an interesting video. This was a year ago. Got over like 1 million views. Games where you're not the main character. Well, there's two things I can say about this. Is that not everybody can be shown up to be the main dude that everybody you look at in the world, the setting you at surrounds them. You could just be a regular person who just got caught up in the mix of everything. The story follow you, but you're not the main attention. You just a guy with a different POV. Besides, like being the guy people want. Everybody want the main character. No one cares about the side character. So you basically a side character in a story where you're not the main character. That's what I think. But what this guy thinks, gaming wise though, 400, four, not 400, 4 mil, 4 mil. That's a lot. So get busy with this one.
When Stray was announced in the summer of 2020, it turned many heads for its premise alone. Stray would be a puzzle adventure game starring an unanthropomorphized cat exploring a decaying walled city. It was a game about a cat doing cat things. One of the many titles Sony was teasing for its then upcoming console starred a cat as its protagonist. Stray released 2 years later in 2022. It received critical acclaim and garnered attention some developers could only dream of.
And I never played that game because it's not my kind of game. Where it is a pet simulator but you're walking. A walking simulator but you're a pet. So that's not something I interested in like that. It's good for a segment within the game itself. Like for example, you have Clank from Ratchet and Clank. There's segments where you play as Clank and you just do a lot of fun stuff with him, and it was fun. And as long as you know what to do with a robot like Clank, you good. With Cat, the possibilities is whatever. And we talk about like a regular, neutral reality where this is our reality right here, where nothing crazy happening, no magic, no powers, or nothing. It's a regular cat just moving about, and it can only go so far.
Even people not known for their gaming opinions were talking about Stray. But there was one critique that I heard over and over again from those who were lukewarm on it. If this game didn't star a cat, no one would care about it. It's kind of a weird thing to say, isn't it? That something so core to Stray's identity would be called into question with such a dismissive attitude. It's a game about a cat. If there wasn't a cat in the cat game, then...
And uh, fortunately for Stray, this is the interesting world because we have robots everywhere. Robots, like autonomous robots, just living their life. We don't. Did we see a human? I don't remember seeing a human. We see mainly robots, and the cat just doing whatever. So where the humans at? Obviously, this room made by humans. So you see a robot sleeping in here? No, there's humans around, but I don't know if it's still around like that or that. I'm not interested in diving into the lore. I'm just saying, spitballing.
no one would play the cat game. It's like saying that no one would play Hitman if there weren't any hitmen. At least, that's what I thought before actually playing Stray myself. Midway through my journey through the walled city, I realized that this game that starred a cat wasn't about a cat.
Yeah, I'm curious about all these images right here. Real curious.
Okay, a few housekeeping things before we get too far. When I say protagonist, I'm referring to the central character in a story, the character the plot revolves around. Literary scholar C. Hugh Holman writes, in a Greek drama, the agon is a contest. The protagonist, the chief character, and the antagonist, the second most important character, are contenders in the agon. So essentially, the agon refers to the central conflict, while the protagonist refers to the main character embroiled in said conflict. The goals of the protagonist and antagonist sit on opposing sides of the agon.
I find it funny that no matter what story you write, a story without conflict is. Can you really call it a story? So someone argue yes, me not so much, but more like was of a gallery of someone's life, you know. That story just be a gallery of what we talking about or who it is, like a picture book. There's no conflict in a picture book, but you see what's going on throughout everything that's going on in the world itself. People just talking about it and end the story with, hey, this is a good place. That's it. like any other children's book that have little to no conflict. It's just a gallery of like someone's greatest highlights, greatest hits. So it's a story with no conflict. It's a gallery for like stuff happening. Stuff is happening, and that's literally it. Stuff is happening with purpose, and who gonna win in the end? The hero or the villain? Then again, to make it more clear, the protagonist or antagonist. Cause not every hero is a protag, not every villain is an antag. So think about it like that.
To keep things somewhat focused, I'll only be looking at games that focus on one playable character. There are plenty of stories that use ensembles, have multiple playable protagonists, or employ multiple viewpoints that I won't be covering here. I also won't be talking about games with character creators and the implications of that. These might be topics for another day. For the time being, I'll only be looking at games where, for the vast majority of the runtime, the player is in control of a single character authored by the developer. In Stray, the character is an unnamed orange cat. His story is a simple one. One day, while doing cat things, he falls into a walled city. When he regains consciousness,
orange cats is said to be the most energetic, adventurous, and kind of dickish type of cats around. I don't know why. Whether it be genetics or just a stereotype. It's weird. Kind of weird.
He has one goal: climb back to the top. In this sense, Stray tells a simple story about one thing. Except that's not really what Stray is about. Early on in his exploration, the cat meets B12, an artificial intelligence with a memory problem. They may know a way out of the city, if only someone could help. B12, despite their digital amnesia, knows their way around the walled city. They become the cat's mouthpiece, able to translate the beeps and boops of the robot language. B12 also has a much grander goal. While the cat just wants to get out of the walled city, B12 wants to free everyone trapped within. They want to learn about their past. They want to solve the mysteries plaguing the city's inhabitants. They want to uncover the conspiracy. Narratively speaking, B12 carries the most weight. B12 is the protagonist. The mystery of the walled city serves as Stray's agon. It's B12's story. The cat is merely a vehicle for that story. There's an important distinction between a protagonist and a point of view character. Oftentimes they're one and the same, but sometimes the duties are split. The Great Gatsby is a classic example. Gatsby is the character who drives the story forward. It's all about him and his exploits. But the story is narrated by supporting character Nick Carraway. Nick is the point of view character, while Gatsby is the protagonist. The original Sherlock Holmes stories work in a similar way. Detective Holmes is the protagonist who moves the story along and solves the mysteries, yet the audience experiences this through the observations of his assistant, Dr. Watson. This split is fairly easy to accomplish in a novel format. Both examples are written in a first-person perspective. Both Nick and Watson refer to themselves as I while writing about the more interesting character. The split is obvious. We, the audience, are supposed to project ourselves onto these characters as Gatsby and Holmes' stories unfold. In film adaptations of these books, that distinction is obscured a bit. Outside of some niche exceptions, film is viewed from a third-person perspective. The audience watches the event.
And it happens a lot. A lot too. Like, let's say Light from Death Note. The man is the protagonist, but he do a lot of villain stuff. And L is just a dude who, a really schizophrenic dude who just go after Light. Because he truly believes dude. Yeah, he's right about that. We gotta prove it though. And the smart way to like isolate Light to where he is, you just put a cage around him, bro. Just eliminate all the fluff, like who the potential dude. If we figure out someone's Japan, and just like narrow it down to a guy he thinks who he is. Oh man, Death Note was right. The first half of Death Note with L's around, great stuff, personally. After that, it's meh, pretty meh.
Events unfold from an omniscient camera viewpoint. The camera does not represent a character. In these adaptations, Gatsby and Holmes are still the main characters. Nick and Watson are still present as point-of-view characters, but that's a little ambiguous. We follow Nick and Watson, sure, but their points of view aren't as literal as they are in the original novels. This isn't a bad thing, just a side effect of changing mediums. All that to say, games sit at an interesting intersection between first-person prose writing and audio-visual storytelling. In Stray, the player has direct control over one character, the cat. We view the story through the cat's perspective. The cat is the I. The cat is the Nick or the Watson. B12, however, is the Gatsby or the Holmes. B12 makes the important decisions that drive the plot forward.
Okay,
But that's another wrinkle. B12 makes decisions as
a root of comparison, if I say so myself. When you just want to compare a certain character to what you got going on, it's something to like have a singular characters from a set media to just be there, like using Sherlock Holmes and The Great Gatsby, for example. Simple enough.
as a pre-written character. The places they want to visit and the robots they want to meet will be the same on every playthrough. However, the cat will make decisions that won't be the same each time. The cat, controlled by the player, could decide to find all the missing memories or skip them entirely. The cat can make B12 talk to all the side character robots, or not. So while B12 is making story decisions, the cat is making actual decisions that affect the experience. On the flip side, the cat's decisions don't really affect the story. Different players will talk to different robots and solve puzzles at different rates, but that stuff isn't important to the overall story Stray is telling. These bits of seasoning don't affect the overarching flavor. I don't know about you, but I love this stuff. Stray's cat is what I'd call a vehicle non-protagonist. The story of Stray unfolds like an on-rails carnival ride, and the cat is what moves the story along the tracks. The cat experiences the story but has little to no emotional stake in it. Classic cat attitude, really. Stray's cat is also fundamentally a blank slate character. The cat doesn't have a name or much of a personality beyond Stray Cat. I would argue that this is one of the aspects that made Stray's popularity so far-reaching. It allows cat-loving players to project their own feline friends onto Stray's kitty.
Sure.
Hey girly, you want to save the world? Didn't think so. But what about a game with...
Oh, that's his cat. Oh, adorable, the white cat. Real cute, adorable. Look at that. You guy looks so fed up already.
The player character has a little more definition. Hi-Fi Rush stars Chai. He's a...
Damn it. Why do you even peep the silhouette in the background? It's been a minute since I played this game, dude. Hi-Fi Rush, bro. I have it on the channel. Look it up. It's on the playlist, bro. It's there. Everything I got over there is there. This game is amazing. I love it.
A 20-something wannabe rock star who accidentally gets a music player implanted into his chest while receiving a prosthetic arm. This makes him a defect, something Megacorp Vandelay wants to snuff out. Like the cat in Stray, Chai has one simple goal: survive. And he does. With music pulsating in every direction, he's able to fight his way through the game's opening. It isn't long before he meets Peppermint, a woman who has a history with Vandelay and wants to shut down the secret, shady project they're cooking up. Chai reluctantly joins Peppermint's cause, and they go about with their infiltration.
Big sister type of thing, I ain't gonna lie, man. Like, this story is so incredible with just her just being the ear to Chai's I want to say consciousness, but her being around it wouldn't be great without her, man. Yeah, no doubt. You couldn't say Chai is a vehicle character too, but he wants smoke with from Vandelay than anything else, man. Like, come on. This existence just screams that he's a phenomenal individual, man. Hybrid. Have his own music player just kicking everybody's ass, going through the rhythm, man. It's good stuff. It's great stuff, man. Great stuff.
Filtration plans. Like B12 and Stray, Peppermint is the brains of the operation. She's the character that recruits the other team members. She's the one with the most personal history with the antagonistic corporation. She's the one who develops the plans and has the most impactful emotional beats. Really, this is a story about her. Chai just happens to be the muscle on the task force. But unlike the cat, Chai has loads of agency and character growth. He goes from being a hapless goofball to becoming a confident...
Okay, what's a good story compared to this one? You can argue? No, I can't. I want to say compared to Ratchet and Clank. Because Ratchet himself, in the first one, the very first one, I'm not talking about the reboot, I'm talking about the very first one, the first Ratchet and Clank game. Ratchet was, oh my gosh, he wasn't that much good of a dude. He pretty selfish type of guy. And he wanted to sell freaking Clank. And Clank just wanted to go home. or just take down like a. You don't want to know who he was, I think, and you want to take down the like evil corporation. And Ratchet had no agency in the story besides his personal gain, like get it even with Quark. And when it's all said and done, he just want to like, I think it was he wanted to give up at one point. I ain't gonna lie, it's probably the best written, um, like the peak writing of Ratchet and Clank was the first one. After that was pretty mid. I ain't gonna lie to you. After that, you could tell the story of Ratchet and Clank didn't even matter much because they got well known, got famous over time, and just it's just them trying to like figure out what they're trying to do themselves. I ain't gonna lie to you. Compare the first one, Ratchet and Clank, and Ratchet and Clank going commando, you could tell the story difference is night and day, man. Like the second one, it wasn't even about Ratchet and Clank like that. It was mainly just about the world being at stake and what they gotta do. And the attacking the factor was Quark, but you don't fight him at the end. You fight his creation, which is pretty mad. I ain't gonna lie. Probably one of the easiest boss fights ever. If you're not being careful, you can lose. Just not taking it seriously. I didn't take it seriously. I lost plenty of time until I like beat him. But let's say one like that fight is as easy compared to any of the gladiatory arena stuff, man. Oh my gosh, I love Ratchet and Clank, dude.
Capable and respected member of the team. Peppermint, meanwhile, becomes the great leader she was destined to become. She learns how to work with others to accomplish her goals. She has the strongest emotional through line as well. No spoilers, but when the game slows down for a tender moment, it's not for Chai, but for her. So which arc is more important? Which character is the protagonist? If we're talking strictly in gameplay terms, then it's Chai, hands down. He's the one that runs and jumps and smashes things. He is the character that the gameplay system, which is absolutely fire by the way, is built around. But if we're talking in story terms, and only in story terms, then Chai becomes the point of view character, while Peppermint takes on the role of the protagonist. She calls the shots and makes decisions that affect the trajectory of the narrative. If the add-on is the quest to take down Vandelay, Peppermint leads that particular charge. But then again, Chai does have a character arc. He gets far and away the most screen time. One could argue that his personal growth, which is happening within the overall plot being driven by Peppermint, is the pulsating heart of the story. But even then, the team is larger than just the two of them. Another character named Macaron joins the squad, and he has his own character arc, similar to Chai's. What makes Chai's arc more important than Macaron's is because one is controllable and the other isn't. They're both on the same team, though, Peppermint's team. Did I mention that I love this kind of stuff? Of course, Chai is far from the first controllable character who receives instructions from someone else. In Resident Evil 4, venturing to save the president's daughter isn't initially Leon's idea. There's the famous "would you kindly" instructions from Bioshock, and of course military shooters fall into this camp as well. But Peppermint and Chai's dynamic feels different somehow. She's not actually on the ground smashing robots, but she's still hands-on with the mission. Her motivation...
You can argue that anytime you summon her... No. She help out. She help out. You can't summon her to help you, kick ass and take names. There are a bunch of abilities in there that you just go out and kick ass and take names. A lot, man. So, I don't know what bro talking about.
aren't a mystery. She's nothing if not genuine, she just needs Chai's help. If I had to put him into a classic literary character class, though, Chai would be a deuteragonist, a character that's close to the spotlight, but not in it entirely. Even though he's an important character, he's not the leader of the team, and since he doesn't push back against Peppermint's leadership, his arc never usurps hers.
I mean, she does.
That being said, while Hi-Fi Rush does...
They do have some petty arguments here and there, especially at times like, how Chai supposed to do things versus what Peppermint want him to do. That's like the first couple of missions in. But over time, they come to like, understanding like how Chai does stuff is just vastly just immature, unprepared, but it happened to like go his way, no matter what. And the Peppermint go wrong with it, even though she just doesn't agree with the method he go with it. Something they work, something they don't. And what I love about this game is the world, the whole rhythm thing, is basically just in the POV of Chai. Peppermint is not down with the freaking rhythm stuff like that. But somehow, some way, the game, the world, through Chai POV, it just happens to be that way, no matter what. Even though this guy, it truly is a wannabe rocker. Spoiler alert for this game. At the very end, we learned that he was trying to do the guitar the first time in his life. He never played it before. Crazy. And this dude mainly right about the whole pyramid, understanding who she is, what he's trying to do. More so than Chai. He's along for the ride. Barely understand what he wanted to do. Beside him, want to be a rock star. But then again, he was talking about like his, band stuff, like over a course of like interaction with other characters. They're optional. They're optional. You gotta find it yourself. But yo, when I found out that this is the first time he do a guitar is crazy. Practicing to do the guitar, wild, wild to me.
Does have a good story and great humor, no one is really there for its narrative. Hi-Fi Rush is a music-based action game with tight combat, amazing visuals, and vibes on vibes on vibes. That's what Hi-Fi Rush is about, smacking a robot R3 with your junk guitar to the beat of a Nine Inch Nails song. In a way, the fact that we can question who the protagonist is feels accidental. In Stray, the audience is there to explore. In Hi-Fi Rush, the audience is there to dance and fight. The attached stories to both of these experiences feel kind of arbitrary. But what about a game that unquestionably subverts the idea of a protagonist on purpose? What about a game that places a larger emphasis on its narrative? A game that bakes its subversion into the very core of its design?
What is that? I can't even figure out the image for that.
Wandersong stars the Bard, a happy-go-lucky boy who just wants to sing. He's not a
I never heard this game in my life. Yo, the fact that he got all these views with like two notable games that people like and gave all the praise for, and then this one outlier, I'll just pulling up and like, hey, this is check this out, bro. This is a cool game. I'm like, what the hell is this? Wonderland?
warrior or much of a hero, yet he's the protagonist of this story. Or is he? After learning that the world is going to end, the Bard sets off on a quest to learn the Earth Song, a tune that could prevent the apocalypse, but inconveniently has to be learned piece by piece by the overseers in the spirit world, because video games. Along the way, he meets Miriam the Witch, who would much rather use magic to solve the problems ahead, but the Bard insists on singing. He insists on solving things without the use of violence. He and Miriam travel the world, meeting people, writing songs, and solving puzzles every step of the way. But things aren't as simple as they seem.
Alright, why?
A warrior by the name of Audrey also knows that the world is ending. She thinks that killing the overseers will bring about a better future. Instead of her voice, she lets her sword that shoots lightning do the talking. She is the more standard video game protagonist. Everywhere Audrey goes, she's referred to as the hero, not only by the characters in the game, but by the game itself. Everywhere the Bard travels, Audrey is understood to be the main character. The Bard is just a guy who sings. On Steam, all of the achievements are tied not to the Bard's actions, but to Audrey's. If we're to believe what Wandersong tells us, the Bard is the antagonist. The happy singing boy who wants to save the world through kindness is standing in the way of the hero's goals. Wandersong presents itself like a story from a side character's perspective. If Audrey's side of the story is Hamlet, then the Bard's is Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. If Audrey's is Beowulf, then the Bard's is Grendel. If Audrey's is The Three Little Pigs, then the Bard's is the true story of the Three Little Pigs. Audrey ticks the standard protagonist boxes. Her journey takes her from place to place, slaying creature after creature while receiving glory in every corner of the world. There's something fascinating about the way the Bard and the player watch the events of Audrey's journey unfold in the background. It's easy to see the Bard's pacifist actions as frivolous, a frustration that Miriam expresses throughout the story. Why can't he just solve his problems like a regular video game character? The audience, however, knows that they're not.
I'm just propelled, man, to the realization I never heard this game in my life. Never. If they go to show them a bunch of games y'all be playing, yeah, you're not peeping everything. If you're truly a gamer, you just play other things that, and not everything. I won't say everything, but you got a stronger preference, stay with it. If not, just explore. I've been playing games I never even think about playing in a minute. Like, have you played Slay the Spire? I know it had a sequel, and I'm like not ready for it, but I'd rather like see it myself. New to the channel, like, comment, subscribe, man. I really appreciate that, man. You probably see more Slay the Spire content, especially the sequel. But then again, it's up to y'all if you want to pull up or not. This game by itself is like, wow. That's I thought about Undertale a little bit, but then again, there's a choice thing. It's a choice you want to be a bad guy or not.
Supposed to believe Wandersong's lies. The Bard is absolutely the protagonist, from both a gameplay and story perspective. He's the character with the most development. He's the character who makes the decisions that dictate where the story will go. The Bard is the one who chooses not to use violence. The audience views the Agon from his perspective.
Really?
But he is a subversive protagonist. Wandersong calls the main character status into question to explore the story's greater themes of nonviolence. In a medium where just about all problems can be solved through combat, the Bard doesn't fit the typical mold.
Okay.
He doesn't fight, he sings.
Insane.
Which action takes more courage?
I mean, I ain't gonna lie to you. If someone wanna smoke him without like the plot armor and just Deus Ex Machina, the dude will be finished like chapter one. If he was like known to be one of the main villains, then again, bro didn't talk about the endings of any of these games whatsoever. You know he did talk about spoilers. I thought about talk about like the intricacies of like what happened at the very end of each of the stories, but he never did. So I don't know how crazy the ending of this game was. So yeah, what it is. It is what it is.
There's a larger discussion to be had about storytelling frameworks and whether or not they're outdated, especially in Western media. While I personally don't think the 3-act structure or the hero's journey are going anywhere, it's nice to experience something that challenges these established tropes. Stray, Hi-Fi Rush, and Wandersong are just 3 examples of titles experimenting with established storytelling formulas. I'm sure there are countless more. Even though their plots are straightforward, the way they handle their cast of characters is anything.
Dude, okay, I see that. Why have the thing there? I like the fact that Rush's protagonist, directing vehicle character. He antagonist, but he move like a non-violent protagonist. Don't believe in violence. He's a true what they call that? And not empath. Non-violent dude. Pacifist. Yeah, that's what it is. He's a pacifist.
But the relationship between player, point of view character, and main character are muddied, and that beautiful muddiness can only be achieved in interactive media. I would argue that video games, with their added layer of interactivity, are uniquely positioned to challenge established frameworks, especially when it comes to characters and their assigned roles in a story. Gaming is the medium best suited to challenge our notions of what a protagonist can be.
Thank you for that. I am a dot. Appreciate it. Appreciate it a lot. I got lie, I ain't reading all that. Okay, alright, so this up. Alright, let me just look at the short comments and we get bounced. Achievements in Wonder Song being tied to the hero and not Bart is one of the coolest uses of achievements I have ever seen. It's pretty simple. Yeah, you gain achievements, but not from you. Whoa. You might as well just you just watch the story unfold instead of playing the game. One of the games where the idea that you're not important is implied is a game called Rain World. Instead of being some great hero, you're just a piece of a piece of a great ecosystem. I'm kind of confused. Wait, what do you mean ecosystem? Rain World? That's wild. That's wild. So you're saying the cat is a car, vehicle for a reason? Yeah. I like how he had to specify the cat in straight wasn't anthropomorphic. Wow, hilarious word. Okay, this might be the only um comment that matters to me most than anything else. I'll be honest, if there was a Hitman game where you were a detective trying to find an Abraham Agent 47, I would play the mess out of it. Can you imagine trying to check the head of every bald person to see if he's an Agent 47 while trying and usually failing to keep your target alive? And then just at the very end, when you think you finally have Agent 47 cornered, the camera pans around, putting you in charge of Agent 47, and it seemed familiar to the funeral scene from him in Blood Money. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo! Blood Money was crazy. Would play out. Yes, sir. Yes, Yes, sir. I seen that scene, bro. Ooh, it was insane. It was insane. But overall, if you guys are cool with just all that stuff, you know, a protagonist, if however you shape it, wherever you shape it, me, if I'm when I'm making my story, I'm just making sure that the protagonist is the protagonist. He's driving the story forward. He's mainly in the focal point of the conflict, no matter what. Not just me. People want to be so versatile and be different. Creativity is unlimited. It's boundless. However you want to make it the best you can to your imagination. Let nobody hold you back. Unless you want some true greatness from your work, have some second opinions and someone look over your work who's in your field. That's my advice to y'all. Whether it be writing books, writing stories, games, or just like a movie, either or, to have a second opinion. Cause I'll tell you right now from this video alone, I like it. The thing I have an issue with is like the only guy who does all the violence is Chai. He had no problem doing violence because he's not killing people. He's bodying robots and people who are augmented robots. So the fact that he never cared once about him, taking out the big five, even though they're like honestly people to it, is like it's funny to me. I think it's funny. And about the other two, a cat. What the cat gonna do? It just make noise. It just crawl and just sleeps. The guy, the very end, the bar dude, not violent dude, pacifist, fine, whatever. Sometimes you gotta make a entertaining pacifist to be playable. Then again, he's saying so. I'll give him that. So, we guys thoughts on that overall? Pretty good, pretty dope. I like it. Like, comment, subscribe. See more content on Crystal Chill. I'll see y'all later. So y'all be safe, be easy, and be chill. That is amazing. I haven't seen a dope essay video in a minute, man. That was pretty cool. I like it. Shout out to you, I am a dot. I want to still making content out here.